Hi everyone, today is Monday and as usual I'm beginning with a video to help you set up your week. Um, um, as you all know, we are beginning today with the analytical essay. And I find analytical essay the most exciting type of essay in my class, and I'll give you the reason why I consider that to be an exciting piece of writing. Before, you have done other type of writing, like you have done narration, you have done summary, which is expository writing, and basically, for me, that's the kind of writing you always do here at college level. But the analytical essay is a peculiar type of essay, and that's why I wanted to pay separate attention to it. Um, as usual, we are beginning the week with uh, the routine that we have followed so far. You need to open the planner, you need to get acquainted with what you have to study, and I want to call your attention to the fact that even though I mentioned here that you should be covering all the different genres in academic writing, which is the topic, the general topic, you have already seen narration over here, but I have to include the pages as well, 159 through 164 from Lansford. And you have also seen expository writing, the summary. So the focus should be on analytical writing. I give you the pages from Lansford's book. She names the section Writing Analytically, and the introduction goes from page 201 through 206. And you also have to study an additional resource on the semicolon, which is the typical language corner part that you do in order to complete the self-assessment exercises. In this unit, I wanted to explain something in detail. If you read Andrew Lansford's chapter, you realize that it's a long chapter, it gives you lots of information, but the topic is loosely covered. Andrew Lansford doesn't study the analytical essay in detail. As a matter of fact, the analytical essay is the type of essay that is hardly explained in writing courses in detail. That's why I was a little bit concerned, and in view to the fact that we have this handicap, I developed a more thorough resource for you, and I want you to read the resource first. In this case, I'm not asking you to read Lansford's book and then jump into the resource, but do it the other way around, because I've been conceiving this resource using Lansford's material, using John Langen's material, and also the online writing lab from the Purdue University. This is a 10-page resource, but it's a must-read if you want to do a good job in writing your analytical essay. As usual, I'm beginning with an explanation of what you would find in this resource in part 1, Introduction to Analytical Writing, which is my own interpretation of analytical writing. A brief selection from Andrew Lansford's chapter. I'm using part of the information he provides, and I intersperse this information in my own text. And then at the end, I'm giving you a checklist for revising your essays. Andrew Lansford and myself consider analytical writing like the type of writing that you do when you analyze an object, or analysis is something that we do every day, but rhetorical analysis is hardly taught at college level, as I said before. That's why I'm giving you this detailed introduction to the analytical essay, and I'm proposing a model at the end that you have the freedom to follow or not, but you have to pay attention to the core of the essay. In part 1, I introduce analytical writing, which I define as scrutinizing an object, like using a magnifying glass to see the contents, the what's of the object, what information is presented in an article, but also the how. So I define analysis using these two separate levels. I define analytical writing as informative observation. So you have to pay attention to the object, you have to inform the reader, but you have to dissect the object. You have to closely examine the parts, the components of the object, the article, and then provide your insights, the insight you have gained in your analysis to the reader. I'm using here in the resource the 5 critical features to all analysis as Andrew Lanford presents. A question that prompts you to take a closer look at the object. As I mentioned at some point here, the question is not a mandatory question to be explicitly presented in the text, but even though you could do it, because there is an example essay here that I'm referring you to, where the author presents a real question to start the analysis, but the question could be understated. It doesn't have to be explicitly presented. Some description of the subject you're analyzing. Here comes the summary that you already practiced. Section 1060 already submitted the summaries. Section 1061 is submitting the summary by Wednesday. But even though these two are overlapping now for section 1061, since you're giving the finishing touches to your summary, it's important now that you consider that summarizing is part of analysis as well. So evidence drawn from close examination of the subject. What have you found after analyzing the subject, in this case the article, the insight you have gained, and then the use of clear, precise language. I'm sending you to one example of an analysis, an analytical essay, not a 5-paragraph essay, but a longer piece. But in this case, the author is making the analysis of the song "Happy" by Pharrell Williams and Pharrell Williams. Yes. So the name is "Happy" Pharrell Williams, Why the Song Has Grabbed the Nation. The author is Eamon Ford, and it's important you take a look at this because it analyzes the article as such and it gives you side notes explaining the different features that I already referred to. As I said, and I'm warning you here at some point that it's not a formula like a typecast formula that you applied when making analysis, but there are some basics that if you follow are going to help you clarify your approach to the analysis. Previously, I mentioned that there are 2 levels, the contents level and the form level. The contents level is what information the article is giving you. In this case, the contents level refers to the what's of the text, the where, the when, who of the text, the information that is tangible, that you can see. While the form levels is a more subtle level. You don't have it in an obvious way. The form level, which is the second level, refers to the hows of the text. How is the information presented? What are the devices that the author has used? What are the tricks that the author has used to present information? Not only the contents, the ideas that are present and that are easily traceable, but the form level is how the different devices that the author has used to win your favor, in a way of speaking. For example, in the form level, is he using reliable sources? Is the author using reliable sources? Is it just an opinion essay or an opinion article? Are there authorities that have been quoted. What type of graphic material does the author present? Is the graphic material like picture, for example, moving, for example, the topic that we are dealing with is climate change, or the pictures raising awareness, do they have an impact on you? So this type of information is also analyzed when you are analyzing an article, because it's part of what the author uses to convey the message. I analyze the two levels in detail, the content levels, and I'll give you like a set of questions that have been proposed by the D2L platform in one of the tips and resources that you have for your homework. This was taken from Tana's, let me see if I find her name. I can never pronounce her name. Stina Stavedri, I think that's her name. He proposes a set of questions to see the what of the text. And also, let me see if you have it, yes, you have it here. Tana Stavridis that created the form. And here you have the question that can help you see what the author is saying. The complete form is in D2L. I'm giving you the link here. And the form level, which is the how level, that I consider that is rarely inspected, but equally important, is the devices that the author has used to convey meaning as well. How is information presented? What type of information? For example, I'm sending you to the online writing lab to see the concept of visual rhetoric. Visual rhetoric is defined as using images as arguments, arranging elements on a page, the text layout to give you information, the typography that is used, the fonts that are used. So I am covering all this in this resource. After you have finished doing the two levels, you cannot make a point about the object. And that's why I say that I send you back to the idea that is informative observation. You tell your reader what insight you've gained. And I recommend in particular that you have to be careful that this is not an argumentative essay. You're not making a controversial point. You're simply expressing an opinion on an object that you are dissecting, if you spare me the word. At the end, I propose an analytical essay, just a model that I said is not like a surefire thing to follow, but this is a model that if you follow, you will be all right. With an introduction, when you present the thesis, when you make a claim about the object, when you identify the purpose of the article that you are analyzing, a central paragraph where you present a summary, a second and third central paragraph where you refer to the argument that the author is using and the tools that the author has used as well, and the conclusion. Finally, I end the resource with an excerpt from Andrew Lunford's text. Is not the complete chapter. I'm just taking some relevant information that I consider should be included in my resource. And the last part 3, is as usual, I'm giving you a guide to revise your essay. The guide is going to help you walk through the draft, the pre-writing process, up to the revision and edition stages. So with some question that all you got to do is just check after you're done. I hope you enjoy this new type of writing. It's going to be exciting when you compare the analytical essay with the argumentative essay. You see how different they are, and in many cases we take one for the other. So making the distinction right at this point is going to be crucial. So I'm happy to have you here already. We're almost halfway, more than halfway in the course. And please don't hesitate to contact me if you want to ask a question during the week. Thank you, and keep on. You're doing fine.